What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday. Glad to have everybody along. I've had my shade ready to throw since Saturday evening, Zach. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show as we throw shade every Wednesday at the end. But I've been locked and loaded for several days on this one. But today we're having a great topic about A.J. Brown and Treylon Burks and what Treylon Burks needs to accomplish to match A.J. Brown's rookie output when he was with the Titans as a rookie back in 2019. And why are we talking about this? Obviously, it is Titans-Eagles week, and the Titans will face A.J. Brown on Sunday at high noon Central Time up in Philadelphia. And I'm sure it's going to be as cordial as possible on social media between Titans fans and A.J. Brown for the rest of the week leading up to that game. But, Zach, we're going to have a good conversation because our Titans reporter, Sam Phelan, found some good stats about what Treylon Burks has done so far in the first 7 games of his career compared to what A.J. Brown did back in 2019. Then we'll also hear from Mike Vrabel on Burks and Robert Woods on Treylon Burks for what Burks is doing for the overall pass game. So we'll kind of parlay yesterday's conversation of Robert Woods into today's conversation about Treylon Burks. So we're going to have a good show today. Welcome in. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling on a Wednesday.
Yeah, also not to be a one-upper, but I had my shade November 21st, 2022 at 6:37 p.m. That was the moment I had my shade.
Okay.
And I've
So you've
been
holding on
locked
to it
in.
for a whole week.
I've been locked in until today. And we're going to have to teach somebody how to go about things. That is going to be the shade. It's going to be a little bit of a learning lesson. It's my 2 favorite words in my life. You learn in life. Well, this fool had a hard learning, and I don't even know if he's learned yet. So we are going to dive into shade. Get your shade ready. We're going to have a good show on this Wednesday. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We got you covered there. Segment by segment, we will tweet out those YouTube links. So keep it locked in and follow us at A to Z Sports on Twitter. Whatever Elon Musk is up to, just follow A to Z Sports. We're all along for the ride, but you better be riding with A to Z Sports if you're a Titans fan or a Tennessee sports fan. And we've got you covered on YouTube, so subscribe. If you've already subscribed, which a lot of you have, we're over 10K now, so we're churning right along, which is great. And that's props to the chat and all of the viewers. If you've already subscribed, go ahead and hit the like button on this show. That would help us out, helps the algorithm, and you guys are part of the community. We want to grow this, and we want more conversations within the chat and within these shows, live streams, post-game coverage. We've got everything locked in on A to Z Sports Nashville on YouTube and Facebook. What's going on, Facebookers? Bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing. Share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. How that works, you guys share the show. So more people are going to be piling in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. As they do, tell them to like the video and subscribe on YouTube. Tell them to share the show around on Facebook. Let's get this party started on a shade day.
Yeah, so officially welcome to the A to Z Sports powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network going live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on Twitter. Also hit us up on Instagram and TikTok. We got to thank our sponsors because they do make it happen for us and they help out you guys. It's the holidays, which means there are deals to be had at Wilson County Hyundai. So check them out and make them a part of your new car buying process at wilsoncountyhyundai.com or go see them in Lebanon. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with your health coverage. That's fbhp.com/ATOZ for health coverage, dental, and vision. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation, 800-800-4600. So, Zach, this has been a show that has been probably in the works since April 28th, 2022. And that is the night of the first round of the NFL draft. You were in Las Vegas covering the draft for A to Z Sports across all of our social media and our expansion. And then You were there. You witnessed it when Roger Goodell stepped up to the microphone and said that the Eagles have traded the 18th pick to the Tennessee Titans, and the Titans are on the clock. And then there goes Treylon Burks off the board from Arkansas to the Titans, and A.J. Brown heads to Philadelphia and gets the contract and the money that he wanted. And here we are. It's Titans-Eagles week, and a big conversation about A.J. and Treylon Burks today.
Yeah, I was on the floor in Vegas with all of the fans. You know, they have the fans that are dressed up and they're in their own each individual section, and it was buzzing. You could hear, I mean, people, you're talking to random people. I mean, that's Vegas for you in general, but like we're on the floor and I'm sitting there, and now I hear the rumblings. Then I start to see the texts. The service is wonky, which that's an NFL problem, which makes no sense that you don't have good Wi-Fi in the NFL draft. There's a little shade right there. So maybe some improvement.
Because Nashville had it good when AJ was drafted.
Yeah, because they built a like Verizon tower. Well, Vegas didn't do that.
Yeah.
They had a Ferris wheel instead of a Verizon tower. But you start to hear these rumblings, and then I remember when the Eagles fan, and you know the guy that wears like he wears the full gear, right? He's bald. He's got face paint. He's dressed out in Eagles. He's wearing, shoulder pads.
Yeah, shoulder pads. That guy.
He somehow got in there with shoulder pads. And I remember that guy turning to the Eagles like faithful and just like yelling. And I was like, what is going on? And then the Burks thing happened, and you're sitting there and you're trying to comprehend all of this. Why? Why is this happening? You don't know. And now we've come so far, as you mentioned, to where we are today going into game week, as AJ has done what he's done with the Philadelphia Eagles. Burks has done what he's done. And now we're sitting here saying, what are these two? Like who got the better end of the deal? Or is that still to remain to be seen for the rest of the year, right? We do know that the Eagles have the best record. They've been flying high all year. AJ has had some pretty stellar games. He's also had some bad games. Mm-hmm. And Burks has had the injury, right? So like both unique seasons. Yeah. But we were going to be critical regardless. I was going to be critical. I stand by what I believe of why did this happen? And could it have been prevented because of the offensive need that we are seeing the Titans in? That you have got to admit, everybody has got to admit, of how pathetic and pitiful this Titans passing offense has been, besides the Packers game. The Packers game was good, but 1 out of 11 games.
I think you have to give the Titans passing offense some credit for what they accomplished this past Sunday against the Bengals when Tannehill threw for 291 and should have had another opportunity with a late 2-minute drive to go add to that production and potentially tie the game. Now the red zone issues were their own thing.
I mean,
but again, like
that wasn't a great performance by the passing game.
I think
for Titan standards, yes.
No, I think what you can do, Zach, is you can look at the last 3 games since Tannehill returned from his ankle injury and say the Titans passing game is trending in the correct direction, and it's been doing some things since Broncos, Packers, and then Bengals game where you see the momentum that the passing game is building. Yeah, it's gotten the Titans.
They are better than they were. Excuse me.
Yes,
they are better
so
than
you
they
said
were.
1 out of 11 games. I think you can add 2 more to that. Maybe 3 out of 11 games. It's again not great, but it's the last 3.
They had 0 passing touchdowns against the Bengals. There was a fumble recovery, right?
Derrick Henry's fault. Yeah.
But you have to say that's what it was, and that's how it was counted.
Yes.
So you can't say that that's just a monumental shift in what is happening. And Austin, the fact of the matter is, we can compare the Titans offense to the Titans offense now, but we both know, and everybody knows, when it comes to the playoffs, that has to elevate. And if they can work towards that, then that's what the remaining 6 games can be.
Yeah, and I brought up the last 3 games, and that's been the 3 games that Treylon Burks has also returned from his turf toe at the same time that Ryan Tannehill returned from his ankle sprain. So let's get Robert Woods first, Zach, about what Treylon Burks has been able to do over the last couple weeks especially. But here's the Titans veteran receiver talking about the Titans rookie.
When you have Treylon emerging like these last 2 games, 50-plus yard receptions.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do for the offense? And, what are your thoughts on how he's emerging as another playmaker for you guys?
Yeah, I like it because I feel like it brings confidence to the passing game. A playmaker to go up and snatch the ball. I feel like it just feeds energy to, I would say, throw the ball a little bit more. And we have playmakers who could go out there and make these plays when given the opportunity. Treylon's shown that, and being able to be a receiver on the other side of that, have him make plays downfield, back the defense up, and really allow guys to work underneath and create more space in these zones. We have a playmaker who go up and stretch the defense. It opens up the passing game.
And that's been the truth over the last 2 games. Burks has 3 catches of 40 yards or more, 2 against Green Bay, and then the one Sunday against the Bengals when he went up and got it over the defender there for 50 plus. So Treylon Burks breaking out. Here's the head coach Mike Vrabel on Burks as well.
How do you like the way Treylon is starting to emerge as a playmaker for you guys?
Well, I think he continues to improve. I think he's shown the ability to go up and get the football, and had a right read the other day in zone, snapped down, Ryan threw it to him. We had a couple of those, Woody had one of those, and Hoop had one of those, and then, I think he's trying to play fast. I think his effort was great, along with other guys on that screen. When Derek unfortunately fumbled, the guy made a great play, and Treylon was hustling. So, that's a good teaching moment that you just never know when the play is going to be that's going to require your effort. And you could go 30 plays and bust your tail and really not be needed, and then all of a sudden, we need you to protect the guy with the football, and that's what we preach. And it was good to see that happened. Unfortunately, not for the fumble, but the ability to be there and take advantage of it.
And that was a big play for Burks to be able to be Johnny on the spot, that hustle to get the touchdown. His first touchdown in his NFL career coming in a very non-conventional way. But Zach, your opinion on the Woods comments and then Vrabel there on Treylon Burks.
Well, Woods, you need to pass the ball more, right? And he said that in what we talked about yesterday. Yeah. He's a wide receiver. He wants the ball more, right? That's not surprising. But I think for Vrabel, that was what he just said, what we just listened to, is a shift from how he talked about Burks at the beginning of the season, because he was focusing on Burks being at the right place, knowing the plays. He was trying to be very technical, right? Because he's a rookie. He was still learning. Now that we've seen Burks have the success, and give credit to Treylon Burks, he's finally doing what he was drafted to do. We all knew that the ability was the deep passing game. It wasn't yak. Treylon Burks is not drafted to do slant and then run upfield.
I disagree.
That's not that's not what he was drafted to do for this year. He was drafted to go up and do what he has been doing the last couple of games and catch balls. Oh, that's what he did in Arkansas.
That's what he also was a yak leader in Arkansas too.
You don't do that in the NFL because the corners and linebackers are faster.
Okay.
What we knew as a rookie, what Treylon Burks could do as a rookie is what he's done the last couple of games.
Yeah.
And that is get the 50-plus yarders and just go up, catch the ball, secure it, and go down. That's what, and those are huge plays. And then you set up, and obviously it didn't work out for the Cincinnati Bengals game in the red zone, but previous, if they can combine Burks, and it worked for the Packers game, Burks' big plays that set up red zone offense. Red zone offense has been stellar all season besides Cincinnati. That should be a recipe for touchdowns.
Yeah, and the Titans are still a top 5 red zone offense, even when they went 0 against the Bengals. That shows you how good they have been before Cincinnati, and what happened there is a conundrum that had the Titans lose a game that was 100% winnable. But Treylon Burks, 2 aspects. His 2 biggest attributes are, yes, his deep ball ability and to go up and body smaller players, and his run after the catch, and that's what he did at Arkansas. So let's get to this, Zach, and get everybody more involved here in the comment section. We're not going to talk about A.J. Brown yet. We're going to get to the A.J. Brown comp here in a second. But yesterday we asked you guys what's one word to describe Robert Woods' season for the Titans thus far. What's one word to describe Treylon Burks, his season thus far for the Titans? So it's one word to describe Treylon Burks' season thus far for the Titans. But first, let me tell all of you guys about the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. That is Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers. So if you have been injured in a car wreck, and if that happens, unfortunately, down the road for you, you now know where to go, right? It is Hughes and Coleman. They have recovered over $1 billion for their clients across the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky, and have the muscle, have the resources, and the ability to go fight the insurance companies for you to make sure you get every dollar you deserve. So when life puts you in a tough spot and a car wreck happens, know where to go and who to trust. The Titans trust them. A to Z Sports trust them. That's Hughes and Coleman. Call them for a free case consultation. Their number is easy as it gets, 800-800-4600, principal office in Nashville, Tennessee.
A to Z Sports, we're powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports, all one word in the promo code tab, and you get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. Yeah, a lot of pro football coming up tomorrow night and throughout the course of the weekend. That's what we're talking about today. Download the app today in your app store, whether it's Apple or Android. BetMGM, they're the king of the sports book.
That's right. All right. So the question we're asking here, Zach, to all the comments on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch is, what's one word to describe Treylon Burks' season thus far for the Titans? And I'm going to get to these one words here in a second, scrolling up to the top. And then we'll do the comp with A.J. Brown and what they're doing with Sam Phelan's information and research from yesterday. John says decent. Eric says rising. Zoe says potential. Karen with encouraging. Justin says improving. There, Rooney on YouTube, effective. Phoenix rising from the ashes. I like that, Steven. Get a little poetic in there.
Yeah, because it's up until this point. It's not the last two games. It is the full season up into where we are today.
Which is, Treylon Burks has been able to play in 7 of the Titans' 11 games because of the turf toe injury that just flat out sucks that it happened in Indianapolis. Gary says encouraging. Jason says uptick. Let's see. Brad says rising. David Dandy says slowly. Kenyatta says progressing. Brandon says growth, progress from Brad, hopeful from Dustin. We know it's incomplete, but up until this point is what we're talking about. Trending, optimistic, babied I think is interesting because of how few snaps Burks was playing early on in this rookie year.
Well, that's what I said about what Mike Vrabel, the shift in how he speaks about Burks, and then, actions speak louder than words. Now we're starting to see that, right? I mean, that's it.
Yeah, and I remember the first game against the Giants, I think I had this correct in my brain, that Treylon Burks played like 34% of the offensive snaps against the Giants. He had 55 yards on 34% of the snaps. I don't know what the percentage of dropbacks was, but Treylon Burks was on the field for 85% of Ryan Tannehill's dropbacks against the Bengals. So that's growing. The snaps, the opportunity is growing to Malachi's point. Jerry says motivated. Troy says subpar. Jarrell says promising. Will says trending. Promising from Yuri. Ascending from Danny. Juiced from Omar. Leashed from Miro, kind of going along with the babied comment. Emerging. There's a lot of similar words here. Zach, what is your one word for Treylon Burks' season thus far for the Titans as a rookie?
Well, I'm going to have to throw a hyphen in there because the one word that I want to use, I need the other word. And that is, I want to use steps, but I need baby steps, because that's what I feel like what Treylon Burks' rookie season has been. Look, I do not have a kid. I'm not a father up until this point that I know of. No joke. I do not have a child. But I do know that you have to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you run, and you take these baby steps. And I feel like I kind of switched things around because I did like the baby comment, because we have seen a progression, but it doesn't mean that Treylon Burks can't eventually run, right? But he couldn't at a point because of his turf toe, but it has been a progression. He was stagnant. He's not running around playing with toys and you got to keep an eye on him at the beginning of the season. He was just chilling on the couch, right? Because he couldn't move. Now he's a little bit more active, and we've seen the things that John Robinson saw in this draft pick to draft him. 6th receiver in the draft in the first round. It was the final 6 out of 6, but he had the physical ability. We saw the talent at Arkansas. He hasn't, and look, you can get upset about the yak and stuff. We have not seen that. So I have to see it to believe it. What we have seen is some of the things that we've seen in Arkansas, which were the deep 50-yard bomb that he just is better than the corner in that position. These are baby steps up until this point. And you hope, and here's the other thing, you hope that he doesn't have another setback, right? Because he's progressing pretty well, right? But you hope that he doesn't fall down and skin his knee so he doesn't want to get up and run again. And I think that this is trending, and this is why I put that, you can see right here, that stock up.
Yeah.
It's trending up. It's not a stock that's trending down.
Oh, I think right now, if Treylon Burks was a stock, now would be a good time to buy, right? Like maybe you were a little concerned or hesitant earlier on, and he wasn't doing as much to, after having 55 yards in his first game, that was a solid start, right? But then he went 13, 14, 24 and got hurt, and you didn't know exactly what to expect. But now you've seen some proof of that concept over the last couple of weeks.
I do want to say this.
Okay.
My fantasy trend of Treylon Burks has gone not like I thought, but exactly how the season has gone. You talk about buying stock. I drafted Treylon Burks late in my fantasy draft, late.
Right.
Then he got hurt. I dropped him. He sat on the waiver wire. Nobody picked him up. And then he sat on the add players board. Right before he came back, I picked him back up.
Yeah,
so,
he goes, you put him on IR,
right?
On fantasy IR. Yeah,
I literally put him on, but anybody could have picked him up. Nobody
sure, but
did.
He was on
and
IR,
I reaped the benefits of the Packers game, and that.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting him because I'm in another bind, right? But that's kind of how the stock game of his rookie season has gone, and you hope that you could kind of reap the benefit the rest of the year now that he's had a connection with Ryan Tannehill the last few weeks.
Did you get points for that touchdown?
I did.
Okay, I didn't know how, because in the box score,
and I got points for Derrick Henry's run.
Yeah, the yards, and you did not get docked for the fumble because it was not fumbled lost in the fantasy spot, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so you won both ways.
But I lost the week by 2 points.
Yeah, well, and anyway, but again, like I do think it's interesting of what Burks is doing, because that touchdown does not show up in the Titans box score anywhere. It's almost like it's a phantom touchdown. And Anthony Ferkser had one of those last year too, that allowed him to surpass Julio Jones' 0. So I guess my one word is, you went baby steps, and I don't like hyphen, but baby steps I think works and is passable for the hyphen.
I can't just say steps. It didn't make sense.
Baby steps is a thing. Like that is like, I could easily take the hyphen out and count it as one word if you felt like it for baby steps. My one word is momentum. And I'm surprised that I did not see a commenter use my word of momentum. I was expecting to see it, and I also thought of Lil Wayne's song, Let the Beat Build. I feel like Treylon Burks is building that beat throughout it. It was a slow build. That's the slowest intro to any rap song I think I've ever heard, back from the Carter 3 in 2007 or 8 when it came out. But I think Treylon Burks is kind of along the same way. He's letting the beat build. He's building that momentum. And I feel pretty confident that Treylon Burks has arrived. Again, I'm not saying that he's a future Pro Bowler. I'm not saying he's going to be a wide receiver 1 this year, but I feel pretty damn good about Treylon Burks' ability. Now it's the thing that is the wide receiver in the Titans offense, the most dependent player on the team, right? Like the Titans wide receiver is not schemed for, is not force-fed, is not prioritized. They're just there. And if they get the opportunity, they better make the most of it. And I feel like Treylon Burks has done that the last 2 weeks. The last 2 games, he's made the most of his opportunity. And I do think I think him recovering that fumble in the end zone for Derrick Henry earned him more. That is something that Mike Vrabel sees and says, this guy's in. This guy is bought into my Mike Vrabel philosophy. And I feel like Mike Vrabel will give that guy that extra juice. Whether you want that to be the case or not, I feel like that's it for Treylon Burks.
You wouldn't think a first-round pick wide receiver should have to do that, but Mike Vrabel.
No, but the trajectory of what's happened, of the asthma and the out of shape situation, and doing what he was supposed to do, being handcuffed / babysat for the first month of the year, then getting hurt, then showing flashes. That hustle play, I think, went a long way.
Yeah, and that is, as you said, that's what Vrabel values. He values the little things, the details, the do your job mentality, the technique, transferring what he coached during the week to game day. And I feel like that's a great example of what Treylon Burks was able to do. And look, it's not the way that you think that Treylon Burks this late in the season gets his first touchdown, but it is what it is. And here's what I'll say, and this may transition into what we're talking about with A.J. Brown. You talk about let the beat build. Tannehill had the opportunity to build that beat with A.J. Brown, where they were on the same page, and when they needed a play, A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill got the job done, especially in 2020. That was the breakout year. That was the song of the year right there, right? Is A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill up the gut. Really, the lead artist was, it's like, you really want to go to the Billboard charts. Derrick Henry was Taylor Swift. He was always going to be number one, but you had Tannehill and A.J. Brown right behind, right? And that year was pretty amazing in Titans offensive franchise history, but they were on the same page. And I think the expectations, and we said this all summer, Austin, we're never going to be fair to Treylon Burks, but too bad, so sad. Well, that's what we were always going to compare Treylon Burks to. Now, later in the season, we've seen a little bit of it, which I do think gives the Titans fan base a little bit of ease to take a deep breath to say, okay, it's not another first-round bust drafted by John Robinson, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a thing. I mean, it's a big thing.
Yeah, and Trey says, did you just call Derrick Henry Taylor Swift? I wonder if I got a lot of cred for dropping the let the beat build. And what direction did you go in with your Taylor Swift comp?
Well, I went in reality. This is stone cold reality. Whether you love it or you hate it, Taylor Swift is the mega superstar. You talk about Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305. Miss Worldwide is Taylor Swift.
I don't even, and this is off the top of my head. Taylor Swift once played the Nashville riverfront on a cardboard stage with nobody watching. Derrick Henry's been watched since he was 16 years old. I think if you want to go real comp, Derrick Henry is Justin Bieber. Because Derrick Henry,
Swift was successful at 16 too.
No, but again,
that's wrong. You got to follow T Swift a little bit better than that.
I went to college with people that were legitimate high school friends with Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift was on that stage with nobody watching her. Justin Bieber was the child star and went through some rough patches. Derrick Henry was a child star, a record breaker through high school, a record breaker in college, came to the NFL, kind of got humbled for a second, and then bang, busted through once he kind of figured his adult self out. So that's what I think. Off the top of my head, I think the Justin Bieber situation.
Well, if you know the recent release of T Swift's new album, all of her songs were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She had it all. And I think that is what Derrick Henry is. If you interviewed anybody on this planet with any sort of mind that wasn't a Browns fan and asked them who's the best running back in the league, who's the best running back in the NFL, they should and would say Derrick Henry.
And I guess my whole problem is Justin Bieber has not sustained his post-humbled status over the last couple of years. So, look, nothing's perfect other than my let the beat build momentum analogy for Treylon Burks. All right, so let's get to this, though, because I there's a ton of comparisons that align with Treylon Burks so far this year, and the same point for A.J. Brown in his rookie year. We'll show you the numbers and really add to the numbers. But first, Zach, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
And this is the best part before I get to Wilson County Hyundai. This is why we do what we do. We are trying to bring a community of new and old. And when people say, like William, I keep forgetting I'm listening to millennials. Oh, the millennial label. Oh, no. And then Anthony goes, who's Taylor Swift, which is funny. Look, we have Gen Z, Gen X, millennial. There are probably a baby boomer sprinkled in here. Shout out to our baby boomers that are watching live on YouTube or wherever. Maybe they may be on Twitch. They may be a cool baby boomer. So
what's above baby boomer? What's that generation? Because we got some of those too.
I was going to say dead because the above baby boomer
because they're watching.
I don't know. I don't know what that's a general. So you can look that.
Yeah,
I'm actually curious.
I got you. I'll look that up, and maybe if they're watching, they can tell us what generation they are.
Yeah, you can look up Wilson County Hyundai and get a brand new ride. That's what you can do. Perfect make and model. It's simple. The Palisade, the full-size SUV. Man, all the bells and whistles, third row seating, captain seats, bucket seats. It is sleek. Both Austin and I have test driven that car. You need to test drive it, feel the fire behind the wheel. Great fuel efficiency, just like the Sonata, the Elantra, and all of their fleet of vehicles, plus the Ioniq. You've been seeing that Ioniq on television. Well, you can get your Ioniq right there at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Family owned and operated, so they're trusted. Tell them A to Z Sports. You heard about Wilson County Hyundai on A to Z Sports. You're getting a great deal. They'll hook you up with an even better one. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
And then use the money you save at Wilson County Hyundai and go over to BetMGM and you get a great deal too. Download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000 with that first bet on pro football. It's a great way to jump all aboard the BetMGM train with Zach and I here this football season. It is the silent generation, which makes sense of why they probably won't comment, even though they're watching it. The silent.
You're called silent?
The silent generation.
What's the age range of the silent generation?
Born 1925 to 1945. Look, and that's the crazy thing is that
well, you said 20, 40 is a little different.
1925 to 1945. Then the greatest generation was 1901 to 1924. That's the crazy thing about it is that generations then lasted so much longer. There's 20, 25 years of the same generation. Now, there's millennials. I think you can get subsets of generations within generations now with technology and how that's affecting people.
Well, so that's why I said, I mean, if that's right, and I don't do math on air because we don't do math on air, but so if Orlando has done math on air,
it's like 78 through old 78 through 108 basically.
Right.
Well, so look, you can look.
Well, and that's the Great Depression era. The silent era is the Great Depression era, right?
Yes.
Because they went through some hardships, right? And war. I mean,
yeah, and I got two grandmothers that watch our show all the time, so I know what they're talking about, and I know how they feel about AJ Brown and Treylon Burks too.
Well, and then, look, shout out to them, and look. We sit here, and I want to take a second. We sit here and complain and moan about all these things on social media, and all these people, they don't know, and I don't claim to know. They don't know what it's like to be drafted, what war is like, what bullets flying, in the heat of battle in that sense. Like, we are very blessed in every right to not, and I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood to make sure Russia or China doesn't do anything crazy, but we have not had to experience that. So very fortunate that we're battling a social media war instead of real world war in the world wars early in that era.
Absolutely. So there's even more comps to what AJ Brown and Treylon Burks have done in the first 7 games of their career. Our Titans reporter, Sam Phelan, put this stat together yesterday, and it took off on Twitter and Instagram and beyond. But because it's Titans-Eagles week, so the first 7 games of the NFL careers, Treylon Burks, 36 targets, 24 catches, 334 yards. AJ had 31 targets, 20 catches, 337 yards. So that's really close, Zach. And now, obviously, Burks doesn't have the yards per catch average that AJ did. AJ also had 2 touchdowns in the first 7 games. Burks gets credit for the one, right? Like that. I think that matters in this situation. So 2-1 touchdowns overall scored, but those numbers are real close for what those 2 guys did in the first 7 games of their career. And really, Burks had an injury where he went on injury reserve right in the middle. 4 games. He got hurt in the 4th game, went away for 5 weeks, and then came back for the last 3.
Well, and there's nuance to this, right?
Sure,
because
obviously.
the games that he missed, Malik Willis, who wasn't throwing the ball, was played in 2 of them, right? So that average and all of that completely has changed, and that's ifs and buts. So, but that needs to be stated, right? The games he missed, he was lucky to miss because He probably wasn't going to improve his average. He was
It
going
would
to go
have.
down.
Yeah,
We
I
wouldn't have been
agree.
having this conversation, to be honest.
No, I agree overall because, because Burks missed those 2 games and nobody else on the Titans offense missed, that allows Treylon Burks' yards per game to be at 47 when you've got Woods and NWI who played in those passless games. Their average is 31 yards a game, right? So that hurts their average per game, but it did not for Burks. But again, those numbers are pretty clear. And if you look at it even deeper, Zach, I've got, the side-by-side game logs for AJ's rookie year and Burks' rookie year. Burks had a target high of 8 in his 6th game. And you look at AJ Brown, he had a target high of 8 in his 7th game. So both guys putting up these very similar numbers, only 3 receiving yards separate them. And they each were doing it on limited targets early in their career. Then you've got AJ Brown had 1 100-yard game in his first 7. Treylon Burks has 1 100-yard games in his first 7. And AJ's happened his first ever game, right? Against Cleveland when the Titans boat raced the Browns up in the Mistake by the Lake, where he had 3 catches for 100 yards, with a 51-yard long. And then Burks did it on prime time in Thursday night against Green Bay. So there's a lot of things that do line up with how these 2 guys started their careers in their first 7-game sample size. And we always will remember the comp for Treylon Burks coming out of Arkansas was AJ Brown coming out of the SEC West and how they stylistically play the game.
Yeah, to a degree.
No, I mean that how they stylistically play the game. They're big body guys. They're strong. They're physical. They have massive hands. They can go up and get the football at the highest point, and they have yak ability. We have not yet truly seen Treylon Burks use his yak ability in the NFL like we did with AJ early on, right?
So, and this is what I'm excited to see the transformation of Treylon Burks' body in the next couple of years.
Yes.
Right. He's going to turn into a man, right? You like AJ Brown has done that. AJ Brown is a full-fledged dude.
And AJ came out of Ole Miss a grown-ass man, but actually needed to slim down a little bit.
And Treylon Burks has, I don't want to call it baby fat, but he has so much, like in the next 3 years, he's not going to look the same.
Well,
he's going to have nutritionists. He's going to have all of these professional things at his access. And that's his job now, right? So he should, and I'm not saying he's got to take advantage of those, but I do believe that his body will transform into something bigger and better over the next several years.
Yeah, because if you remember, like they were both probably too big coming in the NFL, but Burks had the baby fat, but AJ had the too much muscle almost.
Yeah,
that he needed to kind of get a little more lean. So I do find those numbers interesting. Zach, I want to ask you this question before we go deeper into this, because I saw a lot of people on social media saying that Sam was, quote, cherry picking these stats. Do you think these stats are cherry picked? How do you feel overall about what Sam put together there?
We talked to Sam this morning on our pre-show.
Yeah.
I understand what he did. I do. And I think it probably needed, and I'll be honest, I saw it early on, so I didn't see the steam that it caught.
Yeah.
Did Sam respond? What I would have done is Sam needed to respond to his own tweet and give a little bit of depth to what it actually is. Because yes, I think this is a form of cherry picking, but it's not like cherry picking is in basketball, a guy just standing at the end of the goal and not running back on defense and cherry picking a point. I think Sam was leaking. He is leaking across midcourt. He wasn't full-fledged cherry picking.
No,
but I do understand the sentiments from those people being critical.
Well, and Sam did not directly follow up to his tweet with added context.
Because it does need context and look, I am going to give some context after our question to the chat that has to be known.
Sure.
Right? This is not, and we hold each other accountable. This is not like fun Titans love radio stream. This is not that. So I do understand the cherry pick sentiment, but I wouldn't sit there and wave the red flag to Sam.
No, and I think anybody that calls it cherry picking doesn't truly understand the term cherry picking, because it is what it is. It's factual. It's the first 7 games of one guy's career and the first 7 games of another guy's career. Now, AJ Brown did way more, right? Like the last, I guess, 9 games of his rookie year were on a different level.
Stellar.
But you have to you have to understand how it started and then see where Burks can take it. And so I am interested to see where we go with this. And so what Zach and I did this morning, and what Sam did this morning, because he was a part of our pre-show conversation like he is every morning, is that we looked at what Treylon Burks has left. Treylon Burks and the Titans have 6 games left this season. So that would be a 13-game rookie season if Burks, knock on wood for his sake, can finish and play through all 6, right? So A.J. Brown played in all 16 games as a rookie, but we took A.J. Brown's next 6 after his first 7. So for his total of first 13, here's what we found, everybody, is that over A.J. Brown's games 8 through 13, A.J. Brown compiled 442 receiving yards and scored 4 touchdowns. And the last game was the Raiders game in Oakland that shut down that stadium, where AJ went huge, 150 and 2 touchdowns, including a 90-yard touchdown from Ryan Tannehill. So in those 6 games, AJ had 442. Let's ask this question. We're going to go simple: over or under 442 yards for Treylon Burks the rest of the season. Over or under 442 yards for Treylon Burks the rest of this season. We want your opinions on this. We'll break it down even further and get more nuanced with it. But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, that's where you need to go to, and make sure that you can trust them to get you back to health, because they've got a specialist that can help you out with any type of injury, orthopedic, spinal, if whatever. Spinal, yeah, like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson could have used some Bone and Joint Institute. They also could have helped him out with some concussions. And they have a great rehab facility there in Franklin as well, boneandjointtn.org.
Yeah, you said that, and I literally YouTube video in my brain.
Yep,
that was good, and this is a good question. I'm excited to read the chat to see the over/unders. Over/unders, you can get in on some action. Maybe not this time for this particular question, but you can do an over/under on Treylon Burks this week on BetMGM. Download the app today. ATOZ Sports. Put that right in the promo code tab. All one word, no spaces. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users. Download the app today.
All right, so over or under 442 yards the rest of this regular season for Treylon Burks, which would basically have him match the first 13 games of A.J. Brown's yards production. So, Zach, I will send you to the chat. 442 is the number over the next 6 games for Burks. What's everybody saying there?
Well, and that's averaging 73.6 yards per game in the next 6, right?
That's right.
Oh, there's that. Josh says over. Sean says under from Anthony, over from Jarvis. Lee says over. Honky Tonk says under. Primo says over. Jermel, Guy, and Sin City both say over, or all say over. Ethan says under, unfortunately under, only because of Downing. So you also have that little nuance, is that A.J. Brown didn't have Todd Downing.
Well, he had Arthur Smith, who it clicked. Remember, like in that 2019 season, it clicked right around this time for Arthur Smith as a play caller.
And that's what Jamal brings up. And he goes under, hammer the over from Jarrett, over from Scott. Karen, Karen says over, just under from Eric, under from Steven. Matt goes over, so does Billy. Couple of unders from Kyle and Dylon. Over from Derek. Danny says over. Omar says over. Bork says over. Just under from Alonzo. Tons of comments rolling in. Xavier, Chris Frazier says under right there for the chat. Lou Man is just being honest. He is on the fence. So no answer from our secret agent man, 007 Lou Man. Austin, are you over or under 442 receiving yards in the final 6 games of this season for Treylon Burks?
Zach, I think if this was a real bet on BetMGM, I would not touch it. Obviously, right? But if it was a real bet on BetMGM, I think the best value here is the over. I think I would take the over, and I'm going to answer the question with over. I think Treylon Burks is on a good spot here. I like what he's doing. The last 3 games, Zach, after he returned from injury, you said, what was it, 73.5 yards per game to get to that 442 number?
Well, 0.6. He needs a little
73.6. He needs a little bit more. So 73.6 to get to that number. He's been averaging just over 68 yards per game in the last 3. And you're starting to see the Titans use him. And I'm including the game against the Broncos where Burks' first game back from IR, he had a limited role in there. So if you want to go to the last 2, and really that's cherry picking. If you really want to cherry pick a stat, is using Burks' average the last 2 games to project the next 6.
Yeah,
but I'm not doing that. I'm using the 24 yards he had against Denver and putting that all together. So I think he's going to be better than what he's been over the last 3 games on average. I think Treylon Burks is here. And I think what Robert Woods said when we played at the beginning of the show, the Titans are going to have to throw the ball more. The reason why the Titans were really good on their opening drive over the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season is because they were unpredictable and they were throwing the ball early in games and early in drives and on first down more often and winning because of it. I think Treylon Burks is going to be the beneficiary of the Titans having to have a counterpunch on Derrick Henry breaking out and people reacting to Derrick Henry's 5 games in a row earlier when he had really, really solid production. I think Treylon Burks is going to hit the over on this.
So I think the struggle for me, and my gut says under. My gut says he's going to have a game that only is 27 yards, and it's going to destroy his average of what he needs to do because now that 73.6 number dramatically goes up. Here's the one thing that I'm struggling with. The Jacksonville Jaguars pass defense. They're 24th in the league. They give up over 250 yards per game passing. Titans play them twice.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a benefit, right? So I look at that as in the last 6 games, there's 2 opportunities to get over that 73.6 number.
And I want to take this a step further And Matt says not against Philly. That secondary is scary. Well, but Quincy Gardner-Johnson's out. He has that lacerated kidney. And what happened, and that game was pretty wild Sunday Night Football, right? Aaron Rodgers was in significant pain. Jordan Love came in. The Eagles had the lead, but Christian Watson took a slant and went all the way. And I think without Quincy Gardner-Johnson, there's a better opportunity for the Titans to be able to win. And then Reed Blankenship, who, if you live in Middle Tennessee and remember him as just being a playmaker, basically Kevin Byard Jr. at MTSU after Byard came to the Titans. He's an undrafted rookie, made a nice couple of plays in that game, but there's opportunity against this Eagles secondary. Now they have a couple injuries in here. And because of what you're expecting from the pace of this game. This pace, the Eagles' pace is probably going to be higher. Can the Titans afford to be patient and stick to their pace
if the game doesn't go the way that they want it?
Or will they speed up, and that kind of goes into the favor of this Burks conversation, probably against the Titans' favor of winning the game.
Yeah, and they're playing also, they've got the Chargers and the Cowboys. The Cowboys score a lot of points, right? You may be playing from behind. So, and here's Sam's lunch money. Philip says, I say under because of matchup and not Burks' ability. Expect bad passing games versus the Eagles, Cowboys, and Chargers. I mean, actually, I said what I said before, Philip. So we're on the same page. As their pass rush will get and look, they're good teams, right? How will it force you? Or if you're from behind, are you going to gain up cheap yards, as they say? Austin, I have to do what my gut tells me, and my gut tells me it's the Titans passing offense. I have to say under.
Yeah.
That is my logical sense. It's my logical mind. It's my gut. The Titans passing offense in these 6 games, they are bound to probably have a bad 2, maybe 3 passing, right? And they have racked up yards. Ryan Tannehill has had good games, not the 300-yard passing games that we saw against the Packers. But I have to go with reality and Todd Downing. I have to go under. And it would be impressive if he gets over, because what would he finish at if he got 443? Because what does Treylon Burks have now?
334 now plus 443. I mean, that's a solid in 13 games. It's 777, right? Lucky 7 spin that wheel. And I think in 13 games, I think if Treylon Burks hits this over, as a Titans fan, you should probably feel good about him long term. And
yes,
understand,
because he's just had 442 yards in the last 6 games.
Yeah.
That's why you should feel good. Like, it's nothing else. What happened in the past doesn't matter. Now it's you've averaged 73.6 yards at least per game in the last 6 games. That's a win. Now you're impressed. Now he's found himself. That's why you drafted
1,000
him.
yards. Yeah.
Right.
And you feel
here's
good
the
about
difference. Here's one thing that I have to bring up. There's no cherry picking, because we have to realize this about AJ Brown's rookie season. What was left out because of Burks' injury was 2 massive games by AJ Brown. The last 3 games of AJ Brown's rookie year, he had 282 yards receiving. And so that right there tells you a whole hell of a lot.
Right.
And that justified what 1K represented to Titans fans and AJ Brown in his rookie year.
Yeah. He and that's the crazy thing, is that AJ truly exploded in his last 6, where he had 4 100-yard games and 5 touchdowns in the last 6. But, I still think your first 7 games is always your first 7 games. You're figuring stuff out. I think it's harder on Burks because he had the injury in the middle of that and then had to recover. And that's a different type of adversity and mental hurdle you have to overcome as a guy playing in the NFL for the first time. And then the next 6 games, you're starting to figure it out. And AJ took it to the next level. And so, Zach, you did mention that you expect Burks to have a game where he's got like 2 catches for 20 yards or something like that, right? Well, AJ in his games 8 through 13 had a game of 2 catches for 11 yards, had a game of 1 catch of 17 yards. But then he had 4 for 135 and 5 for 153 and 4 for 81.
And I don't project Treylon Burks to have a 150 or 130 game. I don't project that. Doesn't mean that it can't happen.
Why not?
Top tier answers your question.
So
I don't trust the offense. It's not that I don't trust Burks. It's not that. I think Burks is a talented receiver. I understand why he was drafted in the place after AJ was traded. I don't trust the offense. The offense is untrustworthy.
Okay,
whether it's Todd Downing or whether it's the other wide receivers, whether it's getting into a groove. And then the big caveat that I yelled from the rooftops yesterday, Derrick Henry is the centerpiece of this offense. It's not Treylon Burks. So if you were betting on Derrick Henry getting over that mark in the next 6 games, I'd say, yeah, I feel good about him getting over 442 yards in the next 6. But that's not what we're talking about. So it's untrustworthiness to the Titans offense. That's why.
Yeah. But again,
that's hard to argue.
But did we expect AJ to just blow up like that? I mean, he hadn't done it until he did it, right? And Burks has his season high is at 111. AJ's season high to this same point in their rookie seasons was 100. And so, just because, again, I think it's unfair.
Different offense, Austin. Different offensive coordinator. The guy you loathe is calling the plays. Wait, you're not going to turn a corner.
And still, Burks has a game of 111 with that. Now, and then he followed up with a game of 70. So again, I don't expect Treylon Burks to have 150 plus yards in a game. I think that's not fair to Burks.
No.
But I'm saying it's not impossible. I don't think it would be impossible. Like if you look, and I don't know if you
No,
saw
it's a good question. We're not talking about impossibility. We were talking, I mean, this is a good over-under that just, it formatted or it created itself on its own. These are the numbers. We didn't put out 442. Sure. A.J. Brown did.
And so look, ifs and buts are everything, right? And I don't know if you saw the tweet yesterday. I think it was yesterday that started going around of Burks' 51-yard catch against the Bengals, where Tannehill underthrew him because Tannehill saw him and went to him late. If Tannehill had seen him on time, that's probably a touchdown running away from the defender.
Possibly.
And again, we don't know what the read progression was. There was also a roughing the passer on that. So Tannehill did get hit around that follow through where the ball was underthrown, but Burks had several steps on the safety and was running by him. And on time throw, regardless of the progression, is a touchdown there that now makes Treylon Burks have 100 yards because that wasn't a 50-yard catch. That was an 80-yard touchdown.
So
again,
so I'll counterpoint with you. There was no need to throw the deep ball with 2 minutes left to go in the Packers game, right? That was a one-on-one coverage that should have never have happened. So if you want to do counterpoint, I can deal with you. I can dance. So yes, you can sit there and pinpoint it happened. It is what it is. The offense has to get better in the next 6 games to justify 442.
Zero doubt. But I think I would take the over in this bet. So that's
do you want to do this?
I mean, we had a
bet in a long time.
We haven't done a bet. I have a couple bets with Jack that are pretty funny. I'm gonna win the Kyle Phillips one, which I think means Jack has to go to 5th and Broadway and scream, "It's my money and I want it now." No, that might be the Malik Willis touchdown, special package touchdown. I think Jack's gonna have to wash my car with the Kyle Phillips bet.
You wait till spring. We don't wait. Yeah, wait till after it snows because it's going to snow at some point, right?
Yes, in mid-February, just like it has the last couple of years. So I'll have Jack's walking distance, so he can walk his happy butt over here in the snow.
Here's a quick over under 4 touchdowns.
Under.
Yeah,
under.
He's just not a touchdown machine.
Well, no, this offense is scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean. The fumble recovery is tough for me because I don't count it.
Counts.
But I
mean, it doesn't count as a touchdown reception, but
he did. I mean, right place, right time.
Effort. It's being in
right, but it is that wide receiver ability, right? And that's why I separate it. I give him credit for being there. That is valued.
I think what A.J. Brown got credit for being in this offense, the same as Corey Davis, is really good blockers downfield. The reason why Derrick Henry was ripping off those and finishing those big runs is because A.J. and Corey were really good at blocking 50 yards down the field. This group is not, and that's why Derrick Henry's getting caught in a couple times.
Malachi brought this up, and the Hollister thing, I went back to the storefront of Hollister, and I did think about our argument of Chris Conley and how you were going to war for Chris Conley and then what that became.
Chris Conley is so much better than Cody Hollister.
He's not even on the team, is he?
He's on the practice squad. But Chris Conley,
they don't. But that was my point. They didn't trust him. They trust Cody Hollister. He's quality. That's what he is. He's quality to be what he is. It's not good. Yeah. It's not good quality, but it's quality. And I don't know the Titans want.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was a Derrick Henry red zone carry against the Bengals where Charles Davis says, "Look at Cody Hollister getting up in there, creating that." And I was like, "Don't do that, Charles. Like, don't just
Cody."
That's Charles Davis kind of playing into being the contracted team employee in the preseason of giving that extra Cody Hollister love. And I agree, Lee. Cody Hollister's like a roach. He's just going to be here. And, you can't get rid of him. is almost like what Logan Woodside has been. No, that's it. Cody Hollister is the Logan Woodside of wide receivers for the Titans. You bring in all these guys,
but he gets more playing time. Logan.
Yeah. But
Woodside didn't
the
play.
point is, the comp is you bring in all these guys that have more talent, that have done more in their careers, yet Cody Hollister still remains. Josh Gordon.
I don't do my boy Cody like a roach.
He is not your boy.
Well, I want, again, if Chris Conley's your boy, get to the practice squad, pal.
Chris Conley's also not my boy. Chris Conley is just
he
flat
was
out
for a week.
No,
you were riding with Conley. You sat there and tried to convince me.
I wanted somebody to off Cody Hollister's Titans career.
Well, no,
that's what I.
Sure as hell ain't Chris Conley, practice squad guy.
It was not Chris Conley, and I hoped it was. I thought Chris Conley was going to be a better option and opportunity for that to happen than Josh Gordon.
And Jarrell brings up, and I'll bring up another point of this: Cody Hollister and Swaim are Vrabel guys. They get playing time. They're trusted. They do what they're supposed to do. Their ceiling is low, right? Swaim can't go up and grab a catch when he needs to on a slant route that shouldn't have been thrown to him in the first place, but they trust those two guys. So it's like, I don't want to say it's the teacher's pet, but everybody, that's the best thing about grade school, right? Is everybody, there's personalities all over the place, right? There's the class clown, there's the A+ student, and then there's the reliable one that the teacher just knows is going to be there. And that's Swaim and Cody Hollister for this team.
Yep, no doubt about that. All right, let's throw some shade. Again, I've had my shade since Saturday night. Zach, you've had your shade for over a week because you were off for last Wednesday's show as you were traveling for Thanksgiving. But it is time to throw some absolute serious shade here at the end of the show. But tell us all about a great place of Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com/ATOZ. Plan on them for health, dental, and vision. 200+ locations across the state of Tennessee. Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. We met with them a couple of weeks ago. We've been to their corporate office down in Columbia, Tennessee. It is trusted, and that's what you need with a health plan. I switched my health plan to Farm Bureau Health Plans at the beginning of this year, and I'm really glad that I did. This is a true endorsement. I had no idea what Farm Bureau Health Plans was going to provide to me prior to us signing our partnership. We took a risk. Well, that risk, I think FBHP knew that they were going to give me better coverage because that's the reliability. And I took a quote and a health assessment, or got a quote and took a health assessment just like everybody else was. I didn't get a special rate. I didn't get anything. It's just, hey, it is what it is. Well, I'm saving 20% per month, and I have a better plan, better coverage, better service, better rates. That's FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Another great deal is our deal with BetMGM. You download the app, use our code ATOZ Sports, and you unlock a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. So it's the right time and the right way to jumpstart your BetMGM life is getting that risk-free bet on pro football out of the gates, because you win it, awesome. You win it. If you lose it, no sweat. You get that back in free bets, and you build back what your first bet was. So visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. It's the only new customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualification, eligible requirements. Warriors issued knowledgeable free bets or site credit. For bets expiring 7 days. For problem game support, call Tennessee Ride Line 800-889-9789. It is time to throw some shade. All right, throwing shade here to wrap up this Wednesday. Zach, I see you have some graphics receipts for your shade. So I've had my shade for since Saturday. You've had your shade for longer. Mine is sports related. I don't know what yours is.
Mine is sports related.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I don't care.
I will go first. I went with my wife and some friends that were in town from out of state to the Tennessee Vandy game on Saturday night. It was raining. That stunk, but Vandy can't control that. What Vandy can control is the god-awful speaker system in that stadium. Vanderbilt Stadium's speaker system sounds like they pulled up a bunch of F-150s, opened the doors, and blared the music at the highest level. Vandy's speaker system at their stadium sounds like they stole it from a Metro high school football field. Vandy's speaker system is so bad, I wish they would stop playing music and just let the bands do their thing. It's the worst sounding speaker system I have ever seen and heard in my entire life. It comes from one direction in that end zone by their new video board, but they got a new video board and the same speaker system from 1979. It is so awful, it makes your ears bleed. There is zero difference or control over the treble, the bass, the anything. It's just loud. It's 1000% loud. It's like when you fall asleep watching a TV show streaming and you wake up and that show intro blasts your ears off. It's so awful. It's so awful. It needs to be put to bed. Get rid of that speaker system. It is killing people's game experience. It's awful. And it makes the sideline promo guy, it makes him look like he's doing a bad job when he's probably not doing a bad job. He just sounds terrible because he's screaming into a microphone that then screams over all of us and makes our ears bleed. Vandy's speaker system in that stadium needs to be fixed. There is zero excuse to collect $45 million a year from the SEC and have that.
Well, you said F-150s. They're all driving Teslas to the game.
Vandy's speaker system sounds worse than what Zach got robbed out of that white van a few years ago.
I brought that up recently at a party. Don't get got by the white van. That is an overarching statement to all that know. If you know, you know. If you're an A to Z sports fan, you know. I agree. And Austin, we both have been in Vandy Stadium this season.
I'm not going
Bless
back.
us.
Like, I'm not going back. Like, I look, when I bought
you will.
I'm not. I'm not. I've learned my
lesson. If Tennessee is playing to get into the college football playoff like you thought that they were going to this year, you'll be back.
Yeah, well, no, when I bought the tickets after LSU pre-Bama. So I bought the tickets with thought that, I want to go see, Hendon Hooker in this offense for the last time. It's right down the street from my house, easy in and out kind of situation. But, obviously after the loss to South Carolina, that game felt a lot different. And there was a weird vibe in that stadium because Vandy fans are pissed that Tennessee fans are taking over and Tennessee fans are pissed because they lost to South Carolina. So nobody was having fun and it was raining and it was just miserable. And so we left the second to last play before halftime because it was that bad. It was awful.
Here's Ethan brings up similar shade. It says shade on the college football playoff community for putting Alabama ahead of Tennessee. Tennessee beat them. I actually think that Alabama should be ahead of Tennessee because you have a backup quarterback and Alabama lost to Tennessee, granted, and LSU, but Tennessee lost to South Carolina.
So here's my opinion on this.
The backup quarterback is the big part for me.
And I will, our Big Orange podcast guys are doing a segment today about this. Here's where I feel. If the college football playoff committee comes out and says, the reason why Tennessee is behind Alabama is because they don't have their Heisman Trophy contending quarterback and they have Joe Milton, then I'm totally fine with that. I have zero issue if they are docking Tennessee because Hooker is hurt.
Yeah.
But that's not what they said last night. They literally, Boo Corrigan, that guy, came out and said and used body of work for Alabama compared to Tennessee.
Well, then it's the South Carolina loss.
Yeah, the South Carolina loss is what hurt them.
But it's South Carolina. They were unranked.
Yes, and
Alabama didn't lose to an unranked team. They lost to a top 10 team and the number one team in the country.
And both of them.
And they don't have a. So I disagree with the commenter. South Carolina is the reason. That is the body of work. It's an unranked team.
No, the body
unranked team.
Zach, the South Carolina or Alabama does not have a win over a top 20 program.
It's an unranked team.
I understand that.
They didn't lose to an unranked team.
And again, if Hendon Hooker was healthy, then Tennessee should be ahead of Alabama.
I'd probably think differently, but it's an unranked team. If you were going to argue body of work, you do have an argument because it's an unranked team. And they got boat raced. It was not like a close game, last second field goal Alabama and Tennessee was. South Carolina went Sandman on their ass.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
Again, I wanted Tennessee. I don't care about South Carolina. I wanted Tennessee to win. but that didn't happen. So that's the body of work justification, is getting blown out by an unranked team.
I have bigger shade at Ohio State trying to finagle their way out of the Rose Bowl. I think that's Bush League. And that's something that I don't want to spend too much time on because it makes me hate Ohio State even more.
Yeah.
But Ohio State's trying to weasel their way out of the Rose Bowl to go to the Orange Bowl, when Ohio State, if you think about it, as the Big Ten will evolve, Ohio State should probably want to go to Southern California as much as possible to go get that recruiting bed.
You would think.
Yeah, you would think, but Ohio State's trying to go to the Orange Bowl, which would really screw over Tennessee even more than what the Hendon Hooker injury is doing.
All right, some shade. I got college football shade too, so this is a good little segment right here. But let's get to some comments. Jason says, shade on drivers who don't hit the gas pedal when the light turns green, especially when they're on their phones. And so there you go, Jason. You know why they're not hitting the gas pedal is because they're on their phone, but it's unfortunately a way of life in our society. I hate it, but I agree with Jason. It is annoying. So that's good shade right there. Jared says, shade on Black Friday for having an absolute garbage sales this year. I think that's fair. I went to a website and they said almost everything is on sale. Like almost everything, except for their best-selling items. Yeah. So Jared, I'm there. There's 2 for 2. Zach says, shade on the Postal Service. How they get so confused delivering to a business is beyond me. Zach, I think there's 3 for 3. I was delivered a wrong package at my door and it was to some person down the street. Like, what are we doing here? So there's shade there. We got Brent says shade on Big Ten Jeff. Never had anything good to say about the Vols, even at 10-2, while the Buckeyes get destroyed 2 years in a row by Michigan.
Wait, where is Jeff?
Out of the playoffs.
Have we seen? It's Wednesday. Have we seen Jeff since Saturday? I don't think we have.
I think I've seen him. I think I have.
Oh, he showed up at trivia yesterday.
Yeah,
late.
That's right.
Not here today though.
Jonathan says
he's kind of pulling what's his name? Kilbasi. What was the Hibachi? Yeah, Big Jeff is going Hibachi.
Kielbasa. That's good. Hibachi's new name is Kielbasa. Official name change. We've done this live on the show. Where's Kielbasa? Where are you at? Where are the Colts? They lost again. Time management. Where's Jeff Saturday? Yeah. He played on Monday night, not Saturday. Jonathan says shade on us for not bringing up the lack of defensive pressure, not being able to stop the run against the Bengals. Aaron says shade on Fox Sports for showing the United States soccer game on this upcoming morning. Have you been watching the World Cup? Aaron, I have. We watched it yesterday, right before a meeting.
Yeah.
I will be up early Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time.
At 9 a.m. kick. Coverage is at 8.
Oh, sneaky. Oh, I'll get a little hour of sleep. There you go. Yeah. Thank you for that. Bork says shade on work, giving job responsibilities for other people's job. Well, welcome to America, Bork. All right, so there's some good shade right there. So that went through some of the chat, and we'll get to some shade next week for shade. Here's my shade. My shade, and Austin, I'm not Big J journalism. I thought Big J died a long time ago with all the other alphabet letters. But Big J got schooled. And I'll preface shade on me for hating Lane Kiffin before you go into Ole Miss, wanting Lane Kiffin because he has proven to bring my Ole Miss Rebels back from the grave and be a good program. Ole Miss is a good football program. They don't have enough money as all the other schools, but having Ole Miss keep Lane Kiffin is massive for the next couple of years, if he stays for the next couple of years, to go and recruit and see what he can build and get. All Ole Miss needed to do is keep Lane Kiffin until the college football playoff expanded. And they may be able to do that. We'll see what happens in the next couple of years. But let's bring up the old friend Johnny boy. Well, reporter right down there at Ole Miss, or in Mississippi, I should say.
Yeah.
Sits there and he tweeted this out. And look, he did it, not me, and says, breaking, Ole Miss Lane Kiffin plans to step down as Rebels head coach Friday. Head coach of Auburn to become the Tigers' next head coach, according to sources. Sources say the Tigers haven't officially offered the job to anyone yet. So Lane to Auburn is happening. What? What? So that took off, okay? And then we all know what happened. Lane did not get the job at Auburn. He did not take the job at Auburn. He stayed at Ole Miss and got a big-time contract, $9 million per year, because the Ole Miss boosters, they started putting down cash. But then he comes back afterwards and justifies, so Lane to Auburn is happening, story soon. This is how he justified his reporting, by going to the Notes app. Ugh, tough scene. Anytime you go to the Notes app, an apology is coming. Well, no apology. He sits there and tries to justify it appears a congratulations are in order for Lane Kiffin having chosen to stay at Ole Miss and not taking the Auburn job. Then continues on to say, our reporters have included each update as Kiffin's public frustration with sources report. It is the job to report based on solid information. You didn't have solid information. That information can and does change, and we have reported that as well. All the best to Lane in this next year. Ugh. Gross, dude. Gross. Like you are completely oblivious to what's going on what reporting is, on what you're trying to do and trying to be as a reporter that is trusted as a news source. Not so Lane to Auburn is happening, period. You cannot say that. It is, and I'll give an example to the Titans fans watching. A to Z Sports has broken stories in the past, numerous stories in the past. We have not broken stories in the past because we didn't have the sources to confirm. An example, the Taylor Lewan PED story. We had that right in the hopper, but we couldn't confirm. Lewan goes on his Twitter and confirms it himself. A couple of weeks ago, Todd Downing, we had that DUI story, but we didn't report it because it wasn't confirmed. We had to do our sources. So you sit there and Johnny boy, so Lane to Auburn is happening. This is bad reporting by this dude. Shade on this guy. And I actually liked Lane Kiffin peppering him throughout the course of the last week, throwing shade on him as well.
And it is ironic because it's the same reporter who did break Mississippi State's AD leaving Mississippi State to go to Auburn the 2 weeks before.
But
so
he killed like his
no. But that was where I was like, oh, this might be something, because you would think his sources probably have something to do with John Cohen, who is the new AD at Auburn, that he broke the news from Mississippi State to Auburn, especially because the reporter's based out of Starkville. One problem that I really have with this, that add to your shade, Zach, because I think it is valid shade, is, I do think stories change, especially once stories break. Now Kiffin had an opportunity. I don't know what was happening, right? Like, but I would love to know. I would love to know.
Lane had the high ground after this.
Right. He absolutely did. But the one thing that made me cringe is that here's his initial tweet, right? And it's a breaking according to sources. And then here's his follow-up Notes app tweet where he said our original reporting, and then we have reported that as well. So now he is including other people to deflect that responsibility from himself. So he's acting, we and our report. No, your and your, not we or our. It is on you, John. And that's what I thought was the weakest spot of it all, is that once he was then wrong, he made it deflected from just himself.
I 100% correct. Agree. And, the story to Auburn and Hugh Freeze and the vetting process, Auburn is desperate. We all know that. Everybody knows it. It's like, you just know they're desperate and they're going to reach. If I was an Auburn fan, I would be happy. Because if you want to win football games, you got to sell your soul in college football. It's just, unfortunately, it's the way of the world. It's not right. It's not morally. Like, I hated Lane Kiffin before because I thought he was a sleazeball. I kind of still do. And I think Honky Tonk is right. He's a flight risk and can't be trusted. He just can't. But
he's a good football coach.
Damn it, he's my football coach.
That's right. That's what I told you. So I told you what would happen when the Ole Miss hired him 4 or 5.
It's the same way when I'm a Bucks fan. Greg Schiano, he's my coach at one point. It was a bad situation, right? And so, like, You don't know. Hugh Freeze, same thing. It was my coach until he didn't have a burner phone. And so like this college football landscape is getting juicy, and I love it because the drama with NIL and the coaches rivalry and all of these things, I think it's making college football better.
Yeah, the transfer portal is going to be bonkers next week once the championship games are over. And Orlando says Lane was trying to make the boosters scared. And maybe this is something where Lane's camp floated out something to a reporter to try to get Ole Miss to raise their,
I think Ole Miss knew that he's a flight risk. You knew when you signed up for it that he probably wasn't going to stay for a very, very long time. He wasn't going to be Nick Saban and stay forever. But I will credit Ole Miss. You have got to pay your head coaches. If you want them, you have to pay them $9 million. And they actually, the University of Mississippi and their boosters came up with the money. Mm-hmm. Like, that's coming a long way. Ole Miss could not have done this 15 years ago, 10 years ago, right? I mean, so that, I think, that's the changing landscape of what a good football team can be. And look, Ole Miss is 10-2 last year, went to the Sugar Bowl. You get money for that. Tennessee, 10-2, go to a big bowl game. You're going to get money for that. You spend your money once you make your money to make more money.
All right, that'll wrap it up for this Wednesday show. Great show as always. Sam Phelan is going to Titans practice today, and I'm sure in the locker room there'll be a lot of conversation about A.J. Brown. So make sure you subscribe, you subscribe to our YouTube channel and like the show before you go. But we're climbing that subscription ladder here. 10.1, Zach, now 10.1K subscribers on YouTube. But like the show before you go, and we'll see you guys on a Thursday morning. Appreciate it as always.